and welcome to Hasta La Vista, the podcast where the shade is cool, the leaves are lush, and friendship's perennial. We are your hosts. I'm Betsy Peterson.
And I'm Mandy Olson.
Two hobbyist sisters who love this plant as much as you do.
Join us each week as we dig into all things Hosta, the plant affectionately known as the friendship plant.
Today, we are joined by a hybridizer whose name is synonymous with bold foliage, inventive forms, and some of the most talked about hostas in gardens today. From waxy blues to incredibly corrugated and deeply cupped leaves, his work is instantly recognizable and incredibly respected.
He's introduced over 20 hosta cultivars, including Rhino Hide, Gabriel's Wing, and Razorback, just to name a few. He's also the curator behind the beloved Hostas list database and the website Hostas of Distinction. We're thrilled to welcome the one and only Don Rawson.
Welcome, Don. It is a pleasure having you here.
Thank you.
So, for folks new to your work, would you tell us a little bit of how you first got into hosta hybridizing?
Well, I've grown hostas for decades, so I developed a love for hostas. Actually, when I was just a kid, my mother grew a few hostas that she was given from some friends. And then in the 1980s, I saw some hostas and at someone else's house, and I just fell in love with them. And I thought, well, I'm going to get all the hostas there are. I'm going to find them. And this is actually before the age of the internet, so it was more difficult. But I said, I'm going to find all the hostas, and I love these things, and I'm going to get one of everything. And so that's how I got into hostas. And then when we built our house in 1992, we were looking for some plants to landscape around the house. And I had already had maybe a dozen hostas, and I just began collecting more. And then I'm not sure how I developed an interest in hybridizing. I probably, in the mid-1990s, saw other people that were growing hosta seedlings. And that's something that I thought I'd give a try. And so I just started growing hosta seedlings, mostly open-pollinated seed, in the mid to late 1990s. And it all is downhill from there.
So it sounds like you prefer open pollinated to picking your parents for your seedlings?
Well, initially that's what I did. But then probably maybe 6 or 8 years after that, maybe around 2005, I became more serious about my goals for making crosses, and I began making intentional crosses. So for the last, maybe 10 to 15 years, I grow very few open pollinated seed. I make thousands of crosses during the summer. So there's not a day that goes by, a morning that goes by, unless it's an emergency, then I'm not out in the garden for 3 or 4 hours making crosses.
Wow.
So in a good summer for hybridizing, I'll cross between 10 and 11,000 flowers and mark every single one.
Wow.
Wow. That's amazing.
Wow.
Yep.
And I hear the morning is the time to do that, correct?
Right. So I'll protect some hostas. I have hundreds of breeding plants potted up, and I'll maybe bring in the ones that I want to work with. I'll bring them in the night before into my basement, but then I'll go out in the morning. I'll be out there by 6 o'clock in the morning, just like I was this morning, and I'll start making crosses outdoors. And I'll do that for 2 or 3 hours, and then I'll come back in the basement and do the ones I brought inside and put those back outdoors after I'm done.
Wow.
So,
oh my gosh.
Then I'll collect the seed in the fall, and I have a document that has a running total of everything that I've done over the years. And I'll plant usually about 60 or 65 flats of seed.
Wow.
That's around 20,000 seeds. And so maybe if we'll say maybe 75% of them will germinate and come up. And then I'll go through those and I'll end up planting in the garden about 1,800 to 2,000. And I'll throw the other 16 or 18,000 out.
Oh my gosh.
So
Goodness.
it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work. My wife says it's too much work, but I see it as a lot of fun.
You ought to hold a throwaway sale.
Yeah, you really should. Could make
Just let people show up with their hands like all of the twist and just more, please.
Yeah, well, you've probably heard that a Hosta hybridizer, out of 1,000 seedlings might get 2 or 3 that really become something to look at and consider naming.
Yeah.
Wow.
So there's a lot of work for the amount that you actually get that are different and unique.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Wow.
Can you tell us a little bit about your home garden?
Okay, well, we're in Michigan by Grand Rapids, West Michigan. We have 4 acres, but we only garden about an acre or maybe an acre and a half here around the house. And so we grow hostas and daylilies, and my wife grows irises. And then we have some woodland plants. We have thousands of trilliums throughout the garden, so it's beautiful in the spring. Our driveways are lined with daffodils, and our driveway is about 300 feet long, so there's a row of daffodils about 8 feet wide on each side of the driveway.
Wow.
So we planted 25,000 daffodil bulbs. Took us 5
Wow.
years to plant.
Oh.
So most of that's turned over to shade now, so the daffodils are kind of fading away, but it's a beautiful home. And then besides here at my home, I have 2 other sites where I grow hosta seedlings. So just there's not enough room here at the house to grow that many hostas.
Wow.
So I was on your website the last couple of days, and you have a very organized alphabetical listing of all of your cultivars and where you can find them for sale, or if they are even for sale. And that was the first time I had visited your website, and I was really appreciative of that because I thought if I was collecting, I would need to know where to go look for these, and now I know how to do that.
Yeah. So I built the website about a year ago. The purpose of the website is because I wanted to let people know where they could get some of my hostas as they become available. So I don't have a nursery, and I don't really raise and grow plants just to sell. But I wanted folks, hosta lovers, to know where they could find some of my introductions as they're released to the market. So that's the purpose of the Hostas of Distinction website.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you. You've introduced over 20 cultivars, and they are anything but ordinary. Which ones do you feel closest to your heart?
Well, that's kind of like picking your favorite child, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I like all hostas for the most part, although I kind of dislike anything with thin leaf substance. So if it's thin, it doesn't really even make it in the ground. And I'll really never introduce anything that's got a thin leaf. So I like hostas that are thick. I like cupped hostas, hostas with round leaves, hostas that are extremely upright and huge. I do like hostas with long rippled leaves, as long as they're unique looking. Probably my favorite are great big hostas that are extremely puckered and maybe somewhat unruly. I just am attracted to something like that.
Can you tell that they're going to be puckered as seedlings, or is that something that really develops later as they grow?
Yeah. When they're just in the 2 or 3 leaf stage, when they're very tiny, maybe only a month or even 2 months old, sometimes you can start to see it, but usually not.
Okay.
So usually as a hosta matures, you can see the hosta becoming more corrugated, and that puckering will really show up. You might not know the extent of the puckering for the first few years. Large, great big, humongous hostas, take 5, 6, 7, maybe even 8 years to mature. Wow. Some of them just become more and more corrugated every year. So that's the type of hosta that is my favorite, personal favorite.
Just selfishly, can I ask about Alligator Rock? Because I found that one at the Minnesota Hosta plant sale last year, and I grabbed it up, and oh my gosh, I love that thing. It is my favorite hosta in my yard. Yes.
Well, Alligator Rock was a green, extremely corrugated hosta. The leaves are somewhat shiny, more almost round. Nice white flowers to complement the dark green foliage. It's a seedling that Bob Solberg actually chose when he walked through my hybridizing garden. He saw that. I hadn't named it. I haven't really even marked it to save, but that's one of two, along with Granny's Goosebumps, that he picked out and said, yeah, I'd be interested in that one. So it's a medium-sized hosta. It grows pretty dense, but yeah, it's that dark green shiny foliage that is so nice on that one.
Yeah, I love it. I go out and take my fingers and just rub it over the bumps on it. It's such
you're the first one that's commented on it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I don't know that I've seen it in a garden yet. So I may have to look for that when I come up to Minnesota next.
Yeah, well, I think it was one of maybe two at the sale, and I got there right, when they opened, and because I love the rugose ones. They're just my favorites, and, my eye just beeline straight to it. It was great.
Yes.
Well, you're known for your rugose cup-shaped leaves. Your grandma series is truly amazing, but let's talk about catcher's mitt. Its incredible cup leaves are legendary. What's the origin story there?
Catcher's mitt is from the pod parent is another seedling of mine called mulehide. And mulehide has really thick, round cupped leaves. It's a great plant for passing on thick, round, cupped leaves that are very corrugated. And mulehide is out of Don's gator hide, which also has thick leaves, but gator hide, the leaves are more so long and narrow and pointed. So, that's the story behind Catcher's Mitt. And Catcher's Mitt is quite a unique hosta. Josh at In the Country Garden and Gifts has an exclusive agreement on that to introduce it. So I think it's starting to become available in limited numbers. So
I'll have to keep my eye open for that one.
Yeah.
Catcher's Mitt is really, really cupped, and the cups stand more so vertical. So you're not going to get much debris falling in it because the cup is like vertical.
Oh.
And has a white back, medium, maybe medium-large hosta. It is actually variegated. So if you look inside the cup, it does have a dark green margin on it.
Oh,
really?
I didn't know that. Huh.
But you don't notice it unless you look in there because all you see is the white backs standing up straight.
Yeah.
Wow.
Listeners, if you have not seen this, go look it up on the Hosta Library because you see much more of the bottom side of the leaf than you do the inside of the leaf. It's really a remarkable plant. And when this episode airs, it will be the weekend before Josh's event at In the Country Garden and Gifts, where Bob Solberg comes to speak on July 19th. So listeners, if you are planning on going to that event, you might be able to see it in person there.
Wow. Well, Gator Bowl and Gator Hide have really caught people's attention with their major rugose leaves and shape. What are you chasing in those hybrids?
Yeah, I'm chasing that really corrugated look. The puckers on those are really large puckers, which I like large puckers rather than small puckers. So I'm looking for a lot of large puckering, intense puckering, and combine that with really thick leaves. So Gator Bowl is in production, but it is really quite a unique looking hosta too, kind of like Catcher's Mitt is. Gator Bowl is a really dark green, nice pure white flowers, but it's extremely cupped, at least 4 inches, and it has a really thick, deeply cupped and deeply corrugated leaf on Gator Bowl.
Huh.
So that's one, Betsy, if you like corrugated cupped leaves, Gator Bowl would be, you'd find that fascinating.
I'm going to
We'll
write that one down right now.
Yeah, I'll have to find that one too.
Favorites.
Where can you find that one? Do you know?
It's not out on the market yet.
Oh, it's not? Okay.
No, it's in the TC process right now, being produced by a laboratory in California.
Okay.
Do you know if it's having much success being TC'd?
Well, I'm not sure on that. I might actually put it in an additional TC lab perhaps this fall. Just make sure it gets out before long, because I'm getting anxious too.
Yeah, I bet. Well, before we move on to the next question, are you finding that some of these are fertile? Are they able to be bred fairly easily, these really cupped rugose ones, or is it limited?
As far as I know, all of them are fertile, both pod and pollen parents on these cupped ones. I'm trying to think of any that I've put out that aren't fertile. I think everything, one hosta that we'll talk about shortly is Sail Away, and that's pod sterile, but I think all these cupped and rugose ones are fertile. So that's good news for the hybridizer.
Yeah, that's great. That's wonderful.
Well, what's the future for purple and red-leafed hostas? And are there any new crosses in the works?
Well, that's an exciting area, and there are a lot of hybridizers that have been working on that. Bob Solberg, Jeff Moore, it all goes back to Arthur Reed in the 1990s, who introduced a lot of the red-leaved ones. But Doug Beilstein has some great stuff coming. I'm working on it, but I'm not putting all my eggs in one basket. So just a small area of my hybridizing program is focused on the red and purple-leafed hostas. So probably the most exciting one that you'll see come to market here in the next year to 2 years is that red ninja.
Yeah.
It's actually here in the States now, but it's not on the market yet. But that is an amazing hosta. The red shows up around the 1st of June, and then that red center stays that color all summer long.
Wow.
So I do have a couple that I'll probably be introducing soon. I'll be sending Purplicious into production this fall, and that'll be nice. There are some other seedlings that I'm looking at, but we'll just have to see where that goes. I think what we're going to see in the future is more of these red and purple-leaved hostas that maintain their color longer into the summer. And we're going to begin seeing some that are variegated, maybe with a red or purple center, or maybe a margin. I know Josh out of In the Country Garden and Gifts, he has a couple. And there are some others that are showing up that are they're sports of either first blush or bloodline. So I think that's what we're going to see. We're going to see some other colors besides red and purple show up too. There are some that some of my friends are working with that have bronze colored leaves, almost like brown, and a few that have pink colored leaves.
Ooh.
So
wow.
I've even seen some that have yellow leaves with pink edges.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Sounds amazing. Well, kind of in that same vein, this year at the American Hosta Society Convention, you gave a talk about crossing hostas with related genera like Yucca and Mengaves. Was fascinating. Can you walk us through the potential there?
Well, I can try, but bottom line is we're not really sure what the potential is, because for the most part, nobody's tried it before. I mean, we've crossed other genera within this family. For example, we've crossed Manfreda and Agave and have created Manfredas. And there's been other crosses within this family of plants. Um, actually, there's been one cross with a hosta and an agave, and that plant is called a hostave. So I've seen that plant before, um, but I'm not sure that there's been any additional crosses between hostas and other plants. So we're not really sure what the potential is, but it sure is an exciting and interesting field to think about.
It is.
Maybe we can create some plants that have a different leaf shape or sizes, or maybe create some plants that are very deer resistant. One of the plants that a hosta is closely related to is called a Hespercalis undulata. The common name is a ajo lily, which means garlic lily, because the bulb tastes like a garlic. And so if we can cross that plant with a hosta, we might be able to create a hosta that a hybrid that is deer resistant, because deer don't like garlic and onions.
Boy, wouldn't that be nice?
Or
Yeah.
if we can cross it with an agave or manfreda and get the leaves to have a spine going down the center, maybe that's enough to distract the deer and also to keep our hostas from being subject to slug damage.
Oh,
So
that's interesting.
a lot of things to try, but we have to motivate some of our hybridizers to get into that area and give it a shot to see what the potential is.
That would probably help also with having some drought tolerance, I would imagine, too, because those are very desert-friendly plants.
Yep. Heat and drought tolerance. Of course, we know that Hosta plantaginia is pretty heat and drought tolerant species. So maybe if we use plantaginia to cross with an agave or manfreda or with a Hespercalis, we can create some hostas that'll hold up a lot better in our southern states and that are not subject to wilting out or going heat dormant during the summer. So it's an exciting field. The challenge is getting enough hybridizers on board to give it a try, because we all tend to keep doing what we're doing, and we're satisfied. We're too content with the results that we're getting. So we need to branch out into this field and see what we can do.
When we had David Bowe on, he made a reference to the fact that hosta breeding is still in its infancy. Realizing that the American Hosta Society was only started in 1968, that wasn't that long ago. And how he made a reference to the field of hybridizing and breeding plants has so many potential channels to come in the next 100 years or something like that. And this sounds kind of like that same idea. Interesting.
That's true also, because out of about 38 to 41 species, hosta species, we're only working with about 28 of that. Only about 2/3 of the species we're actually making ourselves available to. So as hybridizers, it'd be great if we could get somewhat more of these species in our crosses. Out of the 28, there's some species like Ceboliana that we're working with a lot. It's being overused. And there's a few species out of those 28 that we're not working with much at all. But then, we're working with 2/3 out of all species, and it'd be great if we could get the other third to work with those also. But yeah, there's a lot of potential there.
So the third that we aren't using, is it because they're difficult to breed, or they have undesirable characteristics?
The problem is that some of those species maybe we've identified and have descriptions of, might even have samples of, but our samples might be 40, 50 years old, and they've never been removed from their habitat. So they're not in the Western world here. A few of them have been imported here in the States and Europe, but the samples that we have don't match the actual description of the plant that's over in China, Korea, and Japan. There are a few species that we haven't availed ourselves to because they're just plain looking hostas and we don't think much of them. They're not very, we might not think they're garden worthy or they're very interesting. So we're just, a plant like, Hosta jonesii. That's available in a few collections, but nobody's worked with it yet. So there's a few that we do have, we haven't worked with, we just ignored, but most of the ones that we're not working with is because we don't have them. They're still over in the countries where they grow.
Interesting. Okay. Well, again, keeping on this same vein of thought, do you think that this kind of innovation will change what the average gardener expects from hostas in the next 10 years?
Well, yeah, it will, especially as some of these red and purple leaf varieties come to market and become widespread. I mean, we're going to see quite a transformation, I believe. When people go to a garden center here in 10 years from now, we'll have a variety of hosta colors to choose from, more than this green, white, gold, and green, so it will change the public's opinion. They'll expect to see hostas in all colors of the rainbow, kind of like you go and buy a coleus or some other foliage plant, So it will change a lot, especially, too, as we make improvements with flowers, get more double flowered varieties available and so on. But mainly this development that we're seeing in red and purple leafed hostas, that'll be a radical improvement. And that'll change everyone's opinion about hostas.
Yeah.
Wow, that's great.
All right, Dawn, it's time for one of our favorite games, Finish the Rhyme. We'll read you a short rhyming stanza of some of our favorite hostas. How well do you know your varieties? Let's find out. Here we go. Its ruffled edge won't be denied. Each leaf a wave, a swirling tide. A showy twist you just can't hide. Hold on tight for a
Thrill ride.
Very good.
You got it.
Great big, long, narrow leaf that's beautifully rippled all the way down. Thrill ride.
Awesome.
It's a very pretty plant.
Very pretty, yeah. Okay, here's the next one. Its rugged leaves are wavy wide, with armor tough and swampy pride. A beast in green you shouldn't chide. This reptile-themed hosta is known as
Gator hide.
Very good.
Got
Did I
it.
get it right?
You got it. Very good.
Can't trick you. Well, this next segment that we wanted to talk to you about was some of the diseases that are affecting hostas. So HVX, it's a hosta disease that can disfigure the leaves of your plants. And it's been around a long time, but Don, I'm curious, what is your take on HVX awareness? Is there enough, or are we at least getting better about the awareness to the public?
Well, I think that we've gotten better for sure over the last, maybe 15 years. 20 years. HVX basically was identified and described in the 1990s. And now with a lot of hosta gardeners on Facebook and people posting pictures of their infected plants on Facebook, I think that we're making a lot of more gardeners aware of what HVX is and that they have a disease plant that there's no cure for. They have to get it out of their garden. So unfortunately, there's other people that aren't on Facebook, or some that might be on Facebook, and they go to big box stores or nurseries that really are not testing their plants for HVX, and they're bringing home infected plants that they're not aware of. And they're not sterilizing their tools, and they're spreading the virus around the garden. So yeah, it's very sad to see that HVX is still out there and it still is in a few gardens, and unfortunately we need to do more, do everything that we can So my recommendation is to buy your hostas from nurseries that are aware of HVX and they test their plants and they'll stand behind them, and to make sure that your local club is educating its members about HVX, to do everything that we can do to avoid plants in our garden that are infected.
Okay. Yeah. And as far as cleaning their tools between plantings, what do you recommend?
Well, something that everybody has, and it's very cheap, is bleach. So you can get a bucket, mix some bleach in it, at least 10%, and scrub your tools after you're done using them. Just be aware that bleach, number one, it's corrosive. So after you scrub your tools off, you have to rinse them. Otherwise, they're going to start rusting. And number two, that bleach solution, it is only potent for a couple hours. So it's not something you can keep and just use the next day. You just have to throw it out, and don't throw it on your grass because it'll kill your grass. But you'll have to get more bleach. Then there's other things that you can use. You can use disinfectant wipes, alcohol. There's cleaners, disinfectant cleaners that greenhouses use. But I usually use just bleach. You can also use it as soap and water if you want.
Yeah.
So
I heard the kind of main criteria is the scrubbing that breaks down the oils.
Right.
And so, yeah, not just dipping it in a bucket of bleach, but actually actively scrubbing to remove the dirt and anything off of your garden tools.
Yeah, the main thing is be diligent and consistent. So if you're cutting scapes off and you're using some scissors or some loppers, whatever you're using, just make sure you wipe them off or scrub them off really well before you go on to the next hosta. So just because you don't see HVX on a hosta does not mean that it's not there. Might not be prevalent enough to be distorting the leaves and leaving ink bleed from the veins, but be careful to disinfect your shovel and your clippers and whatever you're using in the garden.
Okay.
Or run a lawnmower over top all your hostas, because then you're just asking for trouble.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Don't ever do that, listeners.
So just as a side note, I personally don't recommend composting your hosta leaves and your scapes. I actually dispose of them, and I don't use that compost, because if you do have a hosta that's infected with HVX or a different virus, and you use that in your compost, or if you have hostas that are infected with nematodes, and then you compost that, I'm just cautious about putting that back on my garden.
Yeah.
So I don't compost my hostas and then reuse the compost.
It's good to know.
Yeah, that is good to know. So do you let them die back and then, clean it all up in the spring, or do you do it in the fall?
Yeah, for the most part, I just let them die back. And if I'm ambitious enough and don't have other projects going on, I'll get out there and try to clean up some of my gardens in the fall, but most of it gets done in the spring.
Okay.
So
we have so many of them also. All right.
Okay, Dawn, it's time for our fast and fun segment, This or That. Just say the first answer that comes to your mind. No overthinking. Red leaf or massive cupped leaf?
Oh, I'll go for that massive cupped leaf.
Yeah.
I mean, make it really, really, really big and really, really cupped so I can take a bath in it. But yeah, that's what I'm looking for.
Okay. Sport hunting or seed starting?
Well, for me, I'll go with the seed starting. Now, if I had a TC lab, I would be sport fishing all the time. I'd be looking at everything that comes out of that TC process. But for me, I'll go with the seed starting from hybridizing.
Okay. Hostas of distinction or the hosta lists? Which project keeps you up later?
Well, the hostas of distinction is pretty easy because I just, might add a couple hostas on there each year. It's the hosta list that are a lot of work.
Yeah.
because I update that every winter with all the new hostas that have been registered for the year and everything else out there that's coming to market that's not registered yet. So that's a lot of work keeping that up to date with the latest editions.
Yeah, I bet it is. Yeah.
I just want to say a big thank you for making your Rawson's list, because I reference that all the time, especially when I'm looking for, new plants in a new area. I want to specifically pick out the ones I want, and I want, a shiny leaf. Well, I know right where to look to find a list of every leaf that's shiny or a certain size. It's wonderful. So thank you for taking that on and updating that every winter. I think everybody that loves Hosta has a big thank you for you.
Yes.
No, you're welcome.
I was looking for fragrant vase-shaped hostas, and it was easy to just try and find some that on the same list. So it was very helpful. Yeah.
Great.
All right. Naming plants, poetic or practical?
Well, I probably something that's practical. If it's descriptive of the hosta, like Gator Bowl, that it's going to be green and puckered like a gator, and it's going to be cupped.
That's true.
So I'll go with something that's descriptive, and if I can make it really catchy and memorable, Hans Hansen had just named one. It's called Frog in My Throat. Now that's a name that you're going to remember. You don't know what the hosta looks like, but it's something that's really, got a unique name. So I'll try to make it really catchy. It's really hard to come up with a great name for a good hosta.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right. Digging through a lost bed of seedlings or hand pollinating in a thunderstorm?
Well, I'm guilty of both. Usually, if it's raining hard outside, I'm going to have to bring them inside, the ones that are in pots. Yeah. So I'll try to stay dry, and hopefully that cross will take. But then I've got seedling beds seedlings that are, 10, 12 years old, and they're almost as high as my head. So I can dig through there and find a hosta that I've never seen before, when you have thousands of them growing. Oh. So it's a lot of fun.
That sounds like fun.
I'm telling you, throwaway sale. That's the way we got to go.
All right. Keep the weirdo seedling or compost it?
If it looks weird, that's the one I'm going to keep.
Okay.
So if I have, we'll say 5 flats of all the same cross, I'm going to pick out a dozen out of 5 flats that are the most different from all the rest, because those are the ones that are going to be the most different from each other, and that I might actually find something that's really cool.
Sure.
So,
well, if it catches your eye, right? If it catches your eye, it's going to catch somebody else's eye too.
Yeah. I figure if someone else makes that same cross, they're going to keep, the ones that I'm throwing away, the really common ones. So I want to work with hostas that no one else is working with, and then I'm going to keep the weirdest ones out of that cross. So.
Well, before we go, we would love to zoom out and just tap in on some of that long view that you have on hostas. You've been doing this for so long, you know more about hostas than most of us will ever learn. What do you think the hosta world will look like 20 years from now?
Well, in the last 20 years, we've made remarkable improvements. Everything from blue mouse ears to something the size of Empress Wu. And some of these blushers, like First Blush and Bloodline and others. So in the next 20 years, we're going to see a lot of new developments, just like the last 20 years. There's going to be some hostas that'll be larger than Empress Wu. There's going to be some that are a lot redder or more purple than Bloodline. There's going to be some really beautiful variegated hostas coming to market, and some with amazing flowers. So, yeah, I'm excited. We don't know what we're going to see in 20 years, but it's going to be a different landscape than what we have right now. So it's exciting.
It is.
Yeah, very. I got to keep making room in my yard or buy a new house, one of the two. Well, you've created so many cultivars with standout traits. If you could build your own perfect hosta from scratch, what would it have?
Well, great big round, thick cup leaves. Another goal that I have is extremely large hosta that's extremely tiny. There's no hosta the size of Empress Woo right now that is extremely shiny.
Oh,
So that would be cool for some variety. And a hosta, especially a great big large hosta that's got a solid dark purple or dark red leaf, and it stays like that all summer long. Or maybe a yellow leaf with black petioles.
oh,
Wow.
Or maybe a yellow leaf with a dark purple edge on it.
yeah.
Just those things are possible, and we're going to get there. We're working on it. We might have some of those things in the next 10 to 20 years. I think we will.
I do too.
Mandy, you've got a big job. You got to get serious about your hybridizing.
I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just growing seeds. So,
Hey, that's how it starts, right?
yeah, I guess.
Well, you're
yeah.
all welcome to come up, and I'll walk you through some of my areas, and we'll have a lot of fun looking at hostas.
Oh, we'd love that.
Love that. That'd be great.
Yeah. Goodness.
Well, you've maintained the Hosta list for years. What have you learned from curating that massive archive of Hosta history?
Yeah, what have I learned from it? I mean, it's a lot of work, but it's been well worth the effort, I think. It's just been real gratifying to see people have that information available and to see people use the list. None of the lists are copyrighted, and I've done that intentionally because I wanted to see people use it. I wanted to see clubs be able to print off any list that they want and distribute it to friends and other gardeners. I just think that there's a lot less confusion with all of the lists in one place, and the lists are quite accurate and pretty comprehensive. So
they are, yeah.
That was my goal, and I think that's pretty much been met.
Thank you. We, again, are very appreciative of all of your efforts. If someone listening wanted to get serious about hybridizing, what is one piece of advice you wish someone had given you?
Meet some other people that hopefully are in your local area that are already doing hybridizing, and learn what you can from them. Go to their gardens, see what they're doing, and get to know them. Try to maintain a good friendship with them. If there's no one in your area that's doing it, then get online, get on some of the Facebook groups that are specifically designed for those that are growing hosta seedlings, and develop some friendships. Set some goals. Know what you want to accomplish. Do you want to make a red-leaved hosta? Do you want to make the next giant that's larger than Empress Woo? Do you want a hosta with shiny leaves? So set some goals. And lastly, if you're getting into hybridizing, a practical resource that will help you along the way is the Hybridizers Manual. It's a compilation of articles by hybridizers that have gone before us. So it's the Hybridizers Manual. It's about 170 pages, a lot of color pictures. That's the most practical printed resource, and that's available from me. I send it out just for the actual cost of printing it. So you can contact me at donrawson1@gmail.com, and I'll send you information on that Hybridizers Manual.
Mandy, you need to get that.
I say I'm gonna contact you.
That's great.
Well, Don, thank you so much for joining us today. Your contributions to the hosta world continue to inspire gardeners and hybridizers alike. We're so lucky to have had you here. Do you have any final thoughts you'd like to leave with our listeners?
Well, gardening is meant to be fun, so make sure you're having fun, whatever you're doing. If you're hybridizing, have fun doing it. Don't make it into a job like I have, but have fun doing it, and just enjoy it. Pass it on to your neighbors and all your friends. So that's my advice. Have fun gardening, especially with hostas.
Don, I have to just tell you a funny little story. My next door neighbor came over to the yard a couple days ago, and she noticed that I had a little bitty Sum and Substance planted with nothing else around it. I mean, 4-foot radius all the way around it. And she goes, well, what are you wasting all that mulch on? What are you going to plant there? And I looked at her and I went, oh, Rosie, just wait. And she was like, no, hostas don't get that big. And I go, oh, yes, they do. It was so funny. Well, thanks to all of you for listening to this special episode of Hosta La Vista.
If you like what you've heard, find us on Facebook at Hosta La Vista Podcast. And don't forget to follow us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts so you never miss an episode.
Until next time, thanks for listening and...
Hasta la vista. Thank you for having me on the show.